What's up, fam? Auburners, everybody else. Back with another video, my first Auburn video in quite a while. And I just, I got done watching draft quite a while ago, but I was inspired to do a little Auburn basketball video because I've been following it pretty fervently this off season. And I feel this is probably the best time to even discuss it, really. So I'm just going to really go over probably the current state of affairs, then talk a little bit about the future state. If y'all want me to go into more exposition, then I could do that, of course, by all means. But obviously, the big part of this is Chumo Kiki being drafted. Uh, kind of pretty much knew that he was an NBA talent since I would say around the SEC tournament. That's when he started really becoming a Chuma we know. The flashes were there ever since last year, really, but the consistency wasn't really there enough, and people were talking to him. The other players, coaches, like, hey, if we're gonna like not, suck this year, if we're gonna go back to where we were last year, the tournament, we need you to be you, and end up working out. Uh, I thought that personally that he was probably the best player in the tournament, at least from after the New Mexico State game, and he really proved in the UNC game. I think he would have had a tougher time against Kentucky than against UNC, but he would have ate against Virginia with their undersized front, of course. But that's all conjecture now. Also, pretty much figured that he was gone after like pretty much I'd say a week or two into the off season. It made sense for him to come back. I guess he wanted to stock up, but once you start talking to teams, you know, they start making promises, and I would imagine that Chuma, for the most part, is getting pretty promising promises, low first round type of promises. And there's nothing wrong with turning that down. I didn't feel bad, that he left. You gotta you gotta champion these dudes while they're here, and give them their flowers while they're still a part of the program. And I think Auburn did a good job of it. But he's gone, and just to put this into context, first Auburn guy drafted is 2001. Well, on the team Auburn guy. This site here includes guys that went to other teams. I guess technically Tony Douglas is an Auburner. You're always an Auburner. You're always an Auburn man. So it is what it is. That's incredible, really. And I just say that to contextualize how great I think Bruce Pearl will be going forward because he put I guess not several guys into NBA positions before this year, but he's putting Chuma into a guaranteed NBA position, and he's putting Bryce Brown and Jared Harper into possible NBA situations. And I'm just going to try to speak on what I have read from Bryce Brown or about Bryce Brown and about Jared Harper from a league perspective. I just wanted to see this right here. Bryce Brown. I wish Stu could come back. I mean, I don't think he'd be better off in draft if he did come back because his knocks, like, pretty much for the most part, don't pertain to even game. It's mainly just frame, and there's nothing you can do really about that. I mean, it's tough, that if your frame fails you, but with his game, I feel like it just couldn't. It could have worked. It could have worked for him if he did get a chance to, but I think Jared Harper is a more guaranteed thing. From all intents and purposes, it seemed like he was one of the top two or three guys from the NBA Combine. Definitely one of the best from the G League Combine. And I think they definitely believe that he talked to quite a few people that were in charge of things while he was working out there. So I don't think it's will be far fetched to say that he gets talked to within the next 24 hours. There's a lot of teams that need a backup point guard, and he does offensively fit what you want. Even Jordan Bone got drafted, who also wasn't physically great, but he was a little bit physically better off than Jared Harper. Had a worse game in my opinion, but he was a good point guard too, so I won't hate on him, nothing like that. But yeah, I really just think that those two individuals have talked to a couple people in higher up positions, and they definitely have a chance. Jared Harper also can come back, as it says right here. Um, I don't think he will. Like I said, I think he talked to some people that's made enough promises for him to stay out there. And there's a lot of opportunities for him out there. We're losing also, Malik and Horace. I didn't think Malik or Horace to get like an NBA position. Not to hate on them either. I just don't think their game showed enough. Malik has a definitely NBA frame, but I don't think his game has developed enough while being here to become a real, NBA prospect. Apparently, he's getting NFL looks, which is interesting. Horace, I really don't know what to say about that. But I wish Harper and Bryce the best. And as far as our current roster, which I also want to talk about, I may have been taking a little bit too much time there, but try to hurry up a little bit. So we've lost the aforementioned four people, and I think that's about it. Everybody else should be coming back. I don't think we're losing by a transfer or anything like that. Just going down positionally. Point guard, you got Javon coming back. Great in the SEC tournament game. Great in New Mexico State game. And in my opinion, played a lot of balance to Jared because Jared had a lot of games down the stretch where like he just couldn't get the shots to fall, and offensively he just wasn't doing anything. He's a decent like floor general, at least he was here. But we need the slashing ability because even if he's off, we can still get other people's shots, which we did some of those games. We just need somebody to slash to draw open the other wing players, and Javon they provide that. I think that would be his job, going forward as well. I don't think he'll ever be like an adept shooter. I don't know his percentage off the top of my head, but he wasn't someone that looked for a 3-point shot very often, so I assume it's not his game. But we got a lot of wings coming back, and I think he can still play the point guard sufficiently. He wasn't the most amazing floor general, in my opinion, but again, he really only got burned towards the latter half of the season, so it's not really his problem. Tyrone Jones, he had gotten a hurt, I believe, but he has a good frame. They call him Turbo. People have made a lot of comparisons to Jared in terms of like his tempo and all that. He's a little bit tall. I believe he's a 6 footer, which is nice to have. You know, at least league average frame on that. Yeah, 6'1", 170. So it's nice to have league average frame. I believe he's a little bit better shooter than Javon, so he'll provide a complement. And we probably won't see him. I believe it's 2 or 3 months he'll be out, so we probably won't see him until he got hurt about 2 or 3 weeks ago, June, so about August. So he'll be ready before. He won't get like really a lot of on court like meshing with some of these returners that a lot of guys will get, like Jamal Johnson or Jalen Williams, incoming class people. But he'll get to see the game, and that's important too. Um, so shooting guard, they say there really isn't anyone that could take this spot. McCollum, blah blah blah. Jamal Johnson. I seen a little bit of Jamal Johnson. I believe he was hurt, if I'm not mistaken. He got hurt transferring over here. Big score as a freshman. So probably from what I can see, I imagine because he came at Memphis before Memphis was ran by the new regime with Penny Hardaway. He probably was taking a lot of volume shots, like low efficiency shots. He may not be a depth shooter. I think I've seen some of his film a while back. I don't exactly remember his game per se, but I remember him being like he got a lot of shots up. So I imagine he's probably a volume shooter. Which usually, if you play in a volume shooter role as a youngin, being if he's a redshirt sophomore, probably have been a freshman because he played one redshirt season, one season being hurt. Um, Probably not the best in terms of efficiency, like passing the ball, audition it. But I mean, if he could just be a complement to what I mean, obviously people are like, oh, is he Bryce? Is he Bryce? Probably not. But if he can be a more dependable slasher than Bryce, at least how Bryce was early in his season this year, as his career, I think he became more well rounded. But like earlier this season, he wasn't slashing nearly enough for my taste. He did it more often. I'd love to see this Jamal guy just develop his 3 pointer. Let me see his frame again. I believe he was like 6'4", if I remember correctly. 6'4", yeah, yeah. So that's not. You right. He was like 6'5", 6'6" in that position. But I mean, you got to deal with what you got, and obviously we have a lot of expertise in that undersized role. I believe personally, I believe when Tyrell gets back, we'll have to shift. Well, we would like to shift Samir to the two guard as a starter, more than likely. I think that'd be ideal. I don't think we have, as I get to in a second, we have a lot of threes, so we really don't need him that much. It's something we missed on a Ray John Tucker, by the way. He would have been perfect. He would have been perfect. But I think it will, ideally, to this point, we'd have Javon at the one, and then probably Samir at the two. Jamal Johnson probably be like developing even throughout this season and be more because I mean you got 2 more years out of him. So well, 2 more after this year, so 3 more. You'll be having him as a project, going forward, and hopefully he'll show up as Bryce or Bruce wants him to be towards the midpoint, somewhere around conference play, mid conference play. So small forward, obviously the sets this has returning faces, Samir, Pure Foy. I guess those are returning faces in spirit, but I don't think they'll be playing here. Hopefully, they won't be playing here. I don't think Samir is bad defensively, by the way. I think he's good enough. I don't think he has the best defensive instincts, as evidenced in towards the end of that Virginia game. He hasn't had the best contesting, and he likes to foul like stupidly. Not just in that game, but like before then a couple times. I guess gamble on the blocks isn't the right term. He'll contest at the wrong time, jump at the wrong time. He's a decent defender. He just doesn't have great instincts, I guess. And I think his game is probably more set for the two, where you just don't have as many mismatches that can just exploit him, like as far as like you know weight. Which he's a pretty stocky two guard or stocky, yeah, stocky two guard. But three, it's a little bit more different. So yeah, I'd like to have him at the two if possible. I like to have Okoro starting. Okoro is one of the best players to come out of the entire draft, or not the draft, but the recruiting class. I think you want Okoro starting as soon as possible. It's possible he may not be ready. I'll give him that. But you want him. You pretty much want to die by the fire if he's not ready, because he's going to be necessary if we do intend on making this more than just a bridge year towards next year. He's going to be one of the top three players in my opinion. And you have Alan Flanagan, my bad, Alan Flanagan, who's pretty much going to be more of a shooter. I he has I'm not gonna pull any statistics right now, but he has the good like build as far as a small forward. I feel like at least in this frame, at least in this this system. 6'5". Hold up, am I reading this right? So they say Okoro is 6'5", 200. This says Flanagan is 6'5", 200. I think Okoro is like 6'7". Hold on, let me see something real quick. Sorry for the debating, but I thought Okoro was 6'7", like legitimate, like 6'5", 195. So we got two guys that are 6'5", 195. Well, I go down here and it says 6'6". So he's probably grown a little bit since 247 Sports last updated him. Looks like they updated the profile in November, so I don't know. But I assume that Flanagan is probably legitimate 6'5", 200, which is cool. I mean, you don't really need to be too tall, I guess. I used to three like to have a 6'7" guy, but it is what it is. I believe he's more of a shooter. He probably has pretty adept shooting skills, just being a coach's son. Fundamentals, which you usually work with as one of those. If he can just be that, that'd be cool. Just stretch the floor out. He probably won't ever be like elite for the team, but if he can just be like your Robert Horry off the bench type of guy, get you buckets, that'd be cool. Pretty much what Purifoy was last year when everybody was healthy. Come in, get you some buckets. Play relief that back then was Chuma. This might be Okoro this time. Something like that. Purifoy, he's a great mismatch of the four. He looked like a great mismatch when he started getting his legs under him in the NCAA tournament. His three ball was fantastic, which is what we pretty much wanted from the entire time before that, and he eventually showed it. He had a pretty good post game and beginning of the his career, and he also had good handles that year. It looked like he played a little bit like as of like he was like trying to play a role. But like sometimes we could have just had him just take over. and play ISO ball. Which I understand, when he first got into the scene, there wasn't a system really. It's just him, Mustafa, and Austin just got out how they lived, and everybody else worked off of that. And I guess coming into what's supposed to be a system, he wanted to defer a little bit to Jared and Bryce and yada yada yada, which everybody else did. And you would see like how plays were set up. It pretty much like you get like 2 or 3 seconds to think, and then you pass it back up to the guard. That's pretty much how the system was ran. So he tried to fall in line with that as much as possible. But I hope he takes over a lot more. Like I said, it's a mismatch of the four. Moves better, even with the weight he put on. He moves better than most forwards can dream of. Also get Jalen Williams, who I don't know his game particularly, but from what I see with just his frame right here, uh, dude's got it. 6'8", 225, a number 5 player, 4-star guy. Pretty good to have him. Probably another immediate contributor. I don't know if he'll get as much burn as a Coro, just because Coro will be starting and Jalen pretty much can't by volition. But Danielle probably playing a little bit mismatch of both roles, the 3 and the 4. It's possible that we'll get to see a little bit more Jalen than we normally would for a freshman. And center, you got Anthony McLemore. I don't know what you're about to say. Anthony Austin. I think Austin will start because like situationally, I think McLemore will probably start. Period. But like just because they need the stretching, but the PNR between Javon and Wiley. That's pretty precious. It'd be nice to have that. And Austin, he can only improve from this point. I think his hands will be a lot better once he's not hurt. I think his mobility could improve, and I think just getting back to the. I mean, he was hurt so often, he really didn't get a chance to get long stretches. I feel like of just playing with the team, so that'd be nice. And Babatunde, I know he's more of a defensive type of guy. I've seen a little bit of his highlights. 6'8", 220, a little bit smaller than like your average center, but like he'll probably be starting out as a horror type of guy. I would imagine. It seems to be what his role will be initially. But I mean that's cool. We got one junior transfer by the way. I'm gonna try to find his name real quick. Get this Franklin cat. He was like already practicing with the team as soon as they started practicing. Javon Franklin, yeah. He has a pretty encouraging highlights. I only pretty much skimmed through him and just kept it moving, but you know, looked like some pretty good stats. For high school a couple of years back, 16 points, 8.7 rebounds. That's nice. I presume he'd be playing a 3. They compared him to Chumo Kiki, so that's cool. It's good to have another like 6'7". That's a legitimate like small forward build. It'd be nice to have that. They'll probably plan on playing him in a small ball 4, I'd imagine, just because that's how this works. And another wing. That's pretty much what we revolve around is wings here, wings and guards. So hey. So anyway, I know it's been a long video. I just want to close out with this. I think, and that's it's not like a thorough prediction. Like obviously, like I'm kind of guessing a little bit and hoping also, but I don't believe the 2019, 2020 season will be like incredible per se. I don't see like it's like a glass ceiling. I feel like on some of these prospects that I just don't know if they can bond together fast enough to look like because last year's squad was several years in the making. Like we added a couple pieces onto it, but the core was there. This year, I don't think the core is there per se. Like Javon, Samir, those guys that just came in, they just got shown the way themselves. So really, if you think about like returning like depth, you got pretty much Purefoy, Wiley, and Macklemore, and those weren't the guys that gave you like most of what you were being contributed to in the past couple of seasons. Even though they did the grimy work, of course, you got to give them props for that. 2 of them didn't even play one of the years. Macklemore, great guy, great player as far as like giving you effort and all that stuff. Not the best, but we'll see. Sometimes the effort and the chemistry can grow without talent having to be there. And I think last year may have been a little bit indicative of that. But the future. So here's just my quick predictions based on what I've read. This thread is not just it. I've seen a little bit more across the way, a little bit more on other sites. And here's how I think it will finish. So Justin Powell, I think if he's not already bumped up to a 4 star, he'll be bumped up to a 4 star. Who has a game that's going to project well on this team. Sharif Cooper, I think that's a commit big time. Walker Kessler, from what I'm reading, that would be commit. Jaden Stone, I believe, is already a commit. So that gives us a 4 star, a 4 star, and 2 5 stars, which I gotta imagine is probably already Auburn's best class ever. But just to top it off, I believe they'll split. Goodness gracious, I think they'll split Brandon Boston or Greg Brown. I think Springer has a couple more options he's pursuing, but I think those two they'll split. That's just my feeling. I will lean towards Boston just because the Okoro and Cooper ties, but Greg Brown I think that'd be preferred just because we already got Stone and Powell. But hey, you take it however you can live with it. So those are just my thoughts about the current and the future of Auburn, and I really believe that just like to look forward to next year and the year after. I think it's an upward trajectory that's still going on. People kind of look at the Final Four miracle run and think like, okay, well it's over with. That's we tried, we missed the shot, we'll come back years later. I think with Bruce, if they can keep Bruce for like let's say 8 years, I think they'll make at least three Final Four runs in 8 years. I think the SEC has like a I think it'll have a resurgence because they made a lot of interesting hires. Jerry Stackhouse, um, the guy at A&M hired Buzz Williams, really good hires. Nathan Oates. I mean, he'll at least be a thorn in your side more than Avery Johnson was. And some really interesting guys that just came in here. So it's not as bad as it was. It wasn't really bad this year. It just wasn't very elite. I think maybe we'll see a couple contenders rise just because the resources are there. But right now, it should be Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee like one tier below. I think there's also a ceiling on how far Tennessee's head coach, I forgot his name right now, but Tennessee's head coach can take you. I just don't think he's enough of a recruiter to keep up with Cal or Pearl, or even Tom Crean. And I don't think he's a good enough coach either to keep up with well, at least with Bruce. I think he can kind of outcoach Calipari a little bit, but I think Bruce has just dominated him. They beat him last year or last year. I think they swept him this year. So I mean, he's not on the same level right now. And of course, the Tennessee edge makes Bruce a better guy. I don't think UGA might be a problem going forward, but I mean, like, I don't think like Crean isn't a good coach. He's just a great, fantastic recruiter, but he's not a good coach. So maybe that'll keep us ahead of them for the time being. But they did almost work us last year, so I can't really be too. I can't just kick them in the teeth. We'll see what happens. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I know it's long, but I feel like there's some good discussion to be had here. This isn't meant to be like a factual opinion or anything. Educated expert, just really discussion. And I want to talk with y'all in the comments if you want to. Please just say anything you felt was wrong or anything you agreed with, and hit me back up. Have a good day.